They really would make fabulous coats. I'm joking.
Okay, so I am likely as shocked as you are, but Cruella didn't suck? I'm not saying it's a work of art, but in some ways, it kind of is.
You just blew my mind.
Now, I'm pretty jaded to downright negative about most of these live-action Disney movies, some of which I haven't even bothered watching, and others are relegated to in-flight movies. And it's usually the ones that are just the straight-up live-action remakes that annoy me the most. See my Mulan video for that, even though they did kind of try to do something different. I don't know, I hated Mulan. But with Cruella, they were going for the Maleficent thing, which was fine. I don't think I'll ever watch it again, but essentially the villain origin story, which my brain usually forcibly combines into villagin, which I'm actually down for. I get that some people feel really weird about sympathizing with villains, and I totally get that. Like, not all villains need to be made sympathetic, not all villains need redemption arcs. But they are fictional characters, so we can re-examine them before they turned into baddies, or even just kind of have full reimaginings of their characters. And I feel like we got that with Cruella. Like, she still vibes like a villain, but I don't imagine her going like full puppy killer later. And that's because she probably doesn't. This is a reimagining. And I think the direction it may be hinting at in the mid-roll credits scene is pretty interesting, but we'll get there. But this is also one that I wasn't instantly expecting the worst from, probably because of Emma Stone, but it also kind of seemed punk rock, and I was very interested by this Katniss Everdeen dress scene. Sure, I made fun of it, but things can be fun and still be made fun of. A large section of the work I do here is dedicated to that. And the Girl Boss Joker meets the Devil Wears Prada memes were probably pretty on point, but I was still down to clown. Okay, I'll stop. I personally got more of a fantabulous Emancipation of Harley Quinn vibe, but I was expecting a strong 2.5 to a light 3, but this was a firm 3.5 out of 5 stars. And some of it dared to venture further, and there was no dog murder. Just ignore David Ehrlich, he's clearly a monster. But even he said it was kind of fun. 'Cause yeah, it was. It's a super solid crime heist, work your way up from the bottom movie mixed with some Devil Wears Prada vibes. I think it's got really great style, not just from the clothing, but just in the way that it tells the story, from the imagery to the camera movements. I'm clearly an expert on style with this, corgi floral button-up. It's a little bit long for a Disney movie, but I really do feel like it uses that time well and flows. The music is badass. The whole movie just lends itself to this punk rock vibe, which is very much not what Disney's all about, but it really suits the mood and the tone of the movie so well. Like, I did not expect to hear a Stooges song in a Disney movie. On top of that, the performances in this are really great and charming. Emma Stone just crushes the titular role, and Emma Thompson is wickedly delightful. Not only am I having fun watching the movie, but you can tell that everybody involved is having a blast. I just feel like there was a lot of heart in this that feels absent from most of the recent Disney live-action outings, which again is weird from The Puppy Hunter. Overall, super refreshing. I think if you were remotely interested in this, you're gonna have a good time, and a lot of people are just gonna downright love this, but if you're just not at all on board for some positive Cruella optics, just don't bother. The CGI dogs do leave something to be desired, though. Don't know about that one, pal. I don't think it's necessarily worth the $30 fee on Disney Plus to watch it at home unless you're splitting that cost with other people, but if you feel like you can safely go to a theater or even a drive-in, totally worth it. Like, I've watched my review copy 2 times for this video, and I still feel tempted to go watch it on a big screen. So Cruella takes place quite a bit before the events of 101 Dalmatians. It actually starts right from her being born and builds into her life as a young grifter in London as it's entering the punk era, and I think that's an amazing backdrop. Especially with the fashion. Jenny Beavan understood the assignment, and it goes a long way. Her work is always impeccable, but it really shines here. The merch team for the movie, on the other hand, maybe not so much. Now your kid can be a girl boss ladle lady Joker. Okay, a lot of this is actually pretty great. I don't know, I just think I would have been super into this as a kid, which is always a really nice feeling to have. I really didn't think I would be all on board the girl bossification of Cruella de Vil, but here we are. So let's get into the movie. So again, starts the day she was born with half black and half white hair and growing into a rambunctious adolescent.
Her name's Estella, not Cruella.
And we're set up with this necklace that Emma Stone's lovely voiceover informs us is the reason she's dead. Ah, a dead narrator, the best kind. And early on, they kind of established Cruella as this like separate personality within Estella. The troublemaker, the nightmare of the school. Though she does make at least one friend, Anita Darling. Yes, that Anita, and then finds another friend in this puppy she found in a dumpster. Don't worry, nothing happens to this dog. So when it looks like she's about to be expelled from primary school, her mom withdraws her so it won't go on her permanent record, and they head off to London. But while her mom makes a quick stop to get something at what appears to be a massive fashion party, things go wrong. Estella is obsessed with fashion and can't make herself stay in the car and ends up getting chased by 3 Dalmatians, who for some reason bowl right over her and knock her mom off a cliff. Okay, I get why she wants to turn them into coats now. That's one way to make it sympathetic, holy shit. Kids, you thought eating an animated lion off a cliff was bad. Wait till you see this. That's not gonna be a reasoning for her to want to kill dogs, but it's still a very funny scene. But she makes it to London anyways, realizes she lost the necklace, meets up with some other orphan kids, Horace and Jasper, dyes her hair so she won't be as identifiable, and it cuts to 10 years later. So this trio's made a life out of running scams, pickpocketing, and petty thievery, largely with the help of Estella's ability to design them dope disguises, but she has dreams of more, which Jasper can see, so he finesses her an entry-level job at Liberty Fashion so she can work her way up.
If they ask you how you know Prince Charles, it's a polo thing.
But instead of being a sales assistant like I assumed, she is hired to be the cleaner. What they do with the camera in the scene, I just really love. Like literally, when I say this movie has a ton of energy, I mean everything from the performances to the camera work to the clothing, like all this good energy. She keeps trying to make suggestions, but her boss never listens to her until she cracks, gets drunk one night, and completely redoes this hideous window display. And I must say, inspired.
Oh, but seriously, how much better do you look?
And by the time her boss finds her the next morning, the Baroness is set to arrive. A premier fashion designer that Estella adores. And of course, she loves the display.
That girl put together a better window display than I've seen here for 10 years.
So Estella gets hired to start working for her the very next day. So the Baroness is the ultimate Miranda Priestley-inspired fashion legend. I would say she's a bit more emotive with her sass and the absolute bluntness that Meryl Streep brings to her role in The Devil Wears Prada, but there's similarities for sure. It's just the vibes, you know?
Most of the funds meant for refurbs are being embezzled by you.
And as Estella is assisting the Baroness, she gets a look at the security room, how to access it, and Mark Strong is here. Now, he was the one who originally caught her at that fashion ball where her mom died, but she doesn't seem to recognize him. But finally, Estella feels like she belongs. The Baroness loves her work and actually asks for her suggestions. But things are about to go way downhill, because hanging from the Baroness's neck is her mother's necklace. And she says that it's a family heirloom that an employee stole at one point.
No, she did not. I meant... No, she did not.
And sure enough, the employee that allegedly took it was Estella's mother, who also told her it was a family heirloom. And the Baroness says that the person that took it fell off a cliff trying to shake her down for money. So at this point, I'm guessing that the Baroness's son is Estella's father, and maybe she didn't like that her son was like dating down or something, and her mom was trying to get money from Grammy to set up their new life. But she also sees that for whatever reason, the Baroness stores that necklace in her vault when she goes to have meetings for some reason. We're also introduced to the Baroness's bumbling lawyer, Roger, all connected. Either way, the three of them devise a plan to get it back. And this is where it upgrades a bit from fancy thieves to elaborate heist, and I am totally on board for that. I love a good heist. And the big thing they're gonna need to make sure it all goes off without a hitch is a distraction. And thankfully, the Baroness likes to make a big show of throwing people out of her parties that offend her sensibilities.
Women in gold. Sad women. Women who carry poodles.
But the most severe offense, women who upstage her. The perfect job for Estella, except the Baroness would recognize her. So Estella can't go to the ball, but I bet Cruella can. So Horace gets in by pretending to be an exterminator.
Don't turn around.
Jasper is supposed to disable the security feed, and a surprise journalist guest is Anita. It's all connected, but it's Disney, it's fine. And the theme of this party is no color, so there is a lot to work with in terms of distraction. And the return of Cruella is marvelous. Even at this stage, she's already upstaged the Baroness. But then we get the Katniss Everdeen moment to Hush by Deep Purple. I don't even care that it is just so directly comparable. I love it. But as much as she manages to distract people and get the key, the whole plan falls apart. Like, I love the irony of rats ruining everything while they're pretending to be exterminators. And while somehow no one recognizes her as Estella, Mark Strong seems to recognize her from somewhere based on the different colored hair. And even if the whole plan went flawlessly, it would have been useless because the necklace is around the Baroness's neck. And as much as she's upstaged her, the Baroness is fascinated by Cruella. Now, brazen she was to show up to a black and white party in one of her own modified winter collection dresses in a bold red.
Oh, no wonder I love it. It's mine.
I fixed it.
But the Dalmatians are frothing at the mouth for some action. And just as she's about to get arrested, Jasper manages to cause a diversion. She almost gets the necklace, but then one of these CGI monstrosities eats it. But it's during this altercation that she realizes that the Baroness controlled the dogs to attack her mother, which is why they jumped right over her. So now she's ready to add a sixth stage to grief: revenge. So the current plan isn't to kill her, it's just ruin her. It's a Disney movie, guys. First plan is to kidnap the Dalmatians so she can get the necklace back, but she's also ready to take on the Cruella persona forever and make Estella the alias. And it's a pretty instant flip. Suddenly she's just a huge jerk to Horace and Jasper, ordering them to kidnap the Dalmatians, ruining their breakfast. But it's fine, she just found out that her boss orchestrated her mother's death and the movie's already 2 hours long, so we can rush things.
Why are you still talking like that? Griff's over.
Oh, it's just getting started. So she goes to find her dear old friend Anita, who now writes fashion news and gossip to help her with her plans to shake things up.
You have a bit of an extreme side.
Well, then you remember what fun that is.
And she also lists the help of Artie, the small vintage fashion shop owner who is apparently Disney's first openly gay character, after all the other times they had their first gay character. Look, if all you have to do is say he's gay, then so is Cruella. So the Baroness is wondering about Cruella's hair, but Mark Strong says he's sure it's a coincidence, suggesting that they're aware of some kind of potential relation here. So the plan, other than waiting for the dogs to poop, is to ruin her business, her status, and confidence. Even Roger gets caught in the crossfire when he can't find a way to stop Cruella.
I need you to stop talking, Roger. There's a gap. You're fired.
And we're told that he would go on to always blame Cruella for this happening.
The real reason Roger was fired is because he's Roger.
This is where we get some really cool stuff with news articles basically like coming to life on screen. Every time the Baroness has an event, she's there to ruin it, all building to her massive spring gala, in which Estella's design is the stolen centerpiece, which was likely the plan all along. However, it's very concerned that whichever dog ate this hasn't pooed yet. I don't know. But the Baroness thinks this final dress is stunning and congratulates Estella by taking her to drinks and taking the credit.
I've done it again.
But I feel like it's during this conversation that Cruella gets the advice that she's gonna carry with her the longest, whether she realizes it or not.
Everyone else is an obstacle. You care what an obstacle wants or feels, you're dead.
But that night, Horace and Jasper break into the Baroness's place to make it look like they're trying to steal the collection for Cruella. So the Baroness, to try to prevent it from happening again, moves the entire collection into the vault. But Jasper's been getting fed up with her behavior and lack of gratitude, but when he tries to talk to her about it, she just completely snaps. Like, even her dog is upset. But the Dalmatians actually seem to like her now. So it's the night of the spring gala, and the Baroness now assumes that Estella is Cruella and wants her nabbed as soon as she arrives. But it's too late to derail the plan. It's been going on inside the vault this entire time. You see, those beads were moth cocoons waiting to release, and they destroyed the entire collection. So everyone funnels outside where Cruella is set up with her spring show. And it's badass. Like, it kicks off with the cover of I Want to Be Your Dog, which might be a bit on the nose, but it works. It's all very fast and energetic, and then Cruella unveils herself in a spotted coat, so the Baroness thinks she killed her dogs to make it. Well, if that isn't some horrific foreshadowing, don't worry, no dogs are actually injured in this movie, no dogs in that coat. But this tips things over the edge, so the Baroness follows Jasper and Horace back to their loft, where she plans to set them up for Cruella's murder.
You're going to kill me because I upstaged you?
Wow, guys, fashion really does kill. She even brought them food for the success and everything. Not so cruel now, she brought them curry. So she sets the place on fire, the dogs try to save Cruella, but Mark Strong comes back just in time to get her out. And the dogs too. He also managed to get the necklace out of a pile of poo, wins all around. And surprise, the necklace is actually a key to this box with a birth certificate on it. Because the Baroness isn't Grammy, she's Mommy. Look, I'm sure a lot of you guys are gonna think Emma Thompson is Mommy. And while the Baron was sweet, the Baroness was a narcissist. Which is a really nice way to say baby murderer. Because nothing was gonna get in the way of her success. Even her own child. Yeah, that's pretty much the only way that you can one-up the evilness of Cruella de Vil. But instead of killing Cruella, Mark Strong gives her to Catherine to raise instead. And after finding out he lost his child, the Baron wasted away, so she is the heir to the entire fortune and the manor. So this is a lot to take in, but it also kind of makes sense to her. She always tried so hard to be the good Estella, but she was always Cruella. Born brilliant, born bad, and a little bit mad. I just don't know if she would have been able to lock that part of herself away for 10 years, but it's fine. So it's time to bust the boys out of prison, which she does in grand fashion, but they're still upset, so they don't want to go with her until she tells them that the Baroness is her mother and apologizes for going a bit mad. Okay, madness is one thing, but I think you were just an asshole. But they know that the Baroness will stop at nothing to hunt them down, so they agree to hop on her grand plan that involves mass amounts of dressmaking in the home address of everybody attending the party. This is also where she suggests that she's okay with having a rumor spread that she made a code of dogs.
People do need a villain to believe in, so I'm happy to fit the bill.
So that appears to be this universe's story. No actual attempted puppy murder. And since her demise, the fashion world is simultaneously mourning her death and wondering if the Baroness can bounce back after her last embarrassment. All while the boys are delivering outfits that look like they're from the Baroness to all the guests. And just before they head out, Cruella gets her own solo moment when Horace comes back with the car he stole and he's all like, hey, it's called the Devil.
It's DeVille, mate.
I like her.
So it's time for the grand finale, exactly where her mom died. And because no body was found, the security team is on the look for Cruella, which becomes an issue when everyone is dressed like her, right down to the wigs.
What's going on?
So Cruella calls the cops to the gala, Jasper gets security out of the main area, even Horace is in on the fun. And honestly, the look on her face when she sees all the guests, amazing. So Cruella steals the dog whistle and changes back into her Estella costume and uses the whistle to get the Baroness outside, right where her mother was murdered. And the Dalmatians? Well, they listen to her now. And the Baroness is not impressed, but the second she mentions that she has proof that the estate is hers, the Baroness tries to flip it as always longing to have an equal. And meanwhile, the boys are getting the guests outside to witness this grand finale. So the Baroness apologizes and asks if she can have a hug.
You're not going to push me off the cliff, are you?
She's obviously gonna push her, but they know that. So over she goes and everyone sees.
She tried to drag me with her. She jumped, she jumped, she jumped.
So it seems like Estella is dead, but she conveniently signed her entire fortune over to her dear friend Cruella de Vil, who shows up just as the arrest is going down. You see, Cruella mastered the combination of fashion and functionality with this parachute skirt.
But there's something about poetic justice that's just so poetic.
So they lay Estella to rest and take over Helm Hall.
So what now?
I've got a few ideas.
Like dog murder? You know, that really was dark for a children's movie. But Horace mentioned something about it looking like Genghis gained weight because obviously she's pregnant, which is later confirmed in the mid-roll scene when Cruella sends a puppy to both Anita and Roger. And those dogs' names are the same ones from the 101 Dalmatians movie. Now, before Roger gets Pongo and after he goes back inside, he's working on the Cruella de Vil song from 101 Dalmatians. So is this a full reimagining where she's allowed the rumor of herself skinning dogs to spread to be this like notorious villain designer? And Roger is working on the story behind the scenes that will become 101 Dalmatians? Or do things just go really bad down the line for Cruella? I don't know. But where Roger started off as a lawyer and Anita isn't a designer, she's a journalist, it just feels like an entirely altered timeline. The Dalmatians killing Cruella's mom wasn't an explanation as to why she thinks it's okay to skin dogs, because she likes those very same dogs by the end of the movie. And for the people that annoys, I get it. Like, I've made videos where I feel like the authorial intent behind a character got ruined by some kind of adaptation that sought out a reason to make a character seem more sympathetic than they were supposed to be. But at least this didn't try to make her sympathetic while she had plans to murder puppies. I don't think any kind kid is gonna watch this and think, yeah, I'm gonna threaten to kill dogs and bully my friends. The ones that are already dickheads, though, I make no promises. But yeah, that's Cruella. If you saw it, let me know what you think. If you were somebody who was like super against this, did you end up watching it, enjoying it? Did it end up kind of where you are? Do you still just kind of have issues with the concept of this movie in general? My thing is that this is a fictional character. It's not like we're trying to retcon somebody who did real life actual damage. This is it's based on cartoon character. Still totally cool if you don't like it, but I was just like shocked by how much fun I had watching it, so my rating reflects that. But let me know what you're thinking down below. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks as always to my Patreon supporters. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, leave a like on the video if you're into that kind of thing. Hope you're all having a fantastic day. I'm mostly okay, and we'll catch you all later.